I am sorry for how messy this recap might be. I was literally getting my nails done when it started, but it was worth it because this episode was honestly kind of boring. Not the performances, those were fun, but the behind the scenes really did not warrant a full episode in my opinion. I also realized I'll have a Tuesday off 2 weeks in a row, so I can watch the episode live next week too, which means I get to watch the live elimination. For once, I am grateful for working on a weekend. However, do we know how many episodes this is going to be? Because we have the eliminations in the middle of stage prep arc coming up, and usually that's like 3 episodes in the survival show structure, and on August 8th I'll be in Paris with my parents on vacation. I probably won't have an episode for upload until the Sunday, possibly Monday after. But I still win because I'll get to see my Odd Eye Girls live. Anyways, enough about that. The episode starts as always with a recap on last episode. Puzzle Team performing Rush Hour and If We Ever Meet Again won both rounds that were announced last episode, and we finally got to see who won between Puzzle's Wannabe and Queendom's Time of Our Life. And let me tell you, having to explain the background to my nail tech because I audibly protested the fact that Wannabe won was a humbling experience. Nothing against the girls, but not even Mnet thinks the vocals and rap were the highlight of the performance. They literally only show the intro every single time. Back to the dance battles to see that Puzzle Team won in a 2-1 nail biter. Not really, because we found out last episode that they won. Queendom is really not doing great. Puzzle decides to go with Bad Blood and Web, while Queendom uses their power over the order to decide that Bad Blood will face off against Overwater, the song I was most anticipating, while Web goes against Glow Up, the song I was least anticipating. No need to dwell on that, let's just get into the performances. Like I said, I found the background to be exceedingly boring and not really worthy of an entire episode, so there's not too much to recap. Bad Blood goes first, consisting of Sanga, Yeon, Uyeon, Nana, Sooyoon, and Kay. The background shows that they struggle with the techniques needed to pull off the song, but is anybody surprised that they pulled through? Be honest with yourselves. Part of the Overwater team, that being Dohwa, Jiwoo, and Soojin, come to visit them with snacks. Dohwa decides to employ some psychological warfare and asks the team if they regret letting Soojin and Jiwoo go. I honestly love her so much, she's so chaotic. The performance explicitly references some movie called Malena. Very sorry to my Italian friends and viewers, but I have no idea who or what that is. The song is nice enough though. I could honestly see myself listening to all of them, but Glow Up the least. I was kind of let down by this performance. Aside from all the technical mistakes like the fire, the neck bend, and the split, I just wasn't getting the strong performance I was expecting. This group has some of the best performers on the show, but the only ones that really caught my attention were Sanga and Sooyoon. I genuinely forgot Kay was in this team when I watched it live. She was so washed out. I also started zoning out during the rewatch, like, what is going on? Why did none of this keep my attention? I'm sure this is just a me problem and not some larger issue with the performance, but I'm still so taken aback. This is supposed to be like an awards show level performance, and I feel nothing. Also, where are the backup dancers? So that brings us to the Overwater team. As mentioned, this team consists of Dohwa, Jiwoo, and Soojin, as well as Miru, Soyeon, and Faye. During the song selection, nobody wanted this song, which is honestly shocking to me because I thought it was the biggest standout among all of them. It reminded me of Tamina/Tell Me Now in that sense. I also realized that if you add Judy to this team, then it's just hopeless romantic and friends. We also find out from their side that the snacks were a Trojan horse, and the whole time the goal was to unsettle the puzzle team by mentioning how they kicked Jiwoo and Soojin. I said something similar before, but I really think Dohwa's attitude and her ambition are her biggest asset in the competition. It's gonna take her far, and no matter how the show goes, I hope she'll keep bringing that to everything she does after it. Overall, I think this team is more evenly matched, more balanced in a way. There's no one overwhelmingly taking the attention. It felt like all of them got a good distribution of special technique parts. In this stage, I really noticed everyone. There was no one that I just suddenly remembered at the end was in this team. I also want to give a special shout out to Soyeon because I think this is her best stage yet. Ending on Dohwa was such a strong move in my opinion because it gives the ending a much more charismatic feeling because she's easily the best performer in the team. And you would hope so with all of her experience. I also think even just ignoring the mistakes in the other team, this choreo has much better tricks and wow moments that rely more on skill and technique than Bad Blood. It was very smart of Queendom team to match these performances because they're so different, the contrast is easy to see. Also, just a random thought, but this really reminded me of a first-gen performance. I could see Pink Girl or SES doing this way back when. Also, if you want a song that sounds kinda similar, check out Pixie's Natural. They choose not to reveal the winner, which kind of feels like Puzzle 1 again, but that brings us to the web team. This team consists of Rina, Bora, Yorum, Yuki, Soa, Jiwon, and Jihan. Again, there's not a lot that stood out to me about the behind the scenes. Rina struggles with a rope technique, which leads us into an arc about how Yorum chose Web because Nana was already in bad blood. Seems to me they're setting her up for a leadership arc. Doa and I had the same thought as soon as I saw the black skin-tight outfits with the red ribbons. They're going for Tamina 2.0. I have a few thoughts on how they failed in that aspect, but let's try to be a bit more positive for a second. I think Zoa and Rina are my standouts for this performance. They really suited the vibe in my opinion and seemed more confident than before. That's really the most positive thing I have to say about this one. So again, the red ribbons, black outfits feels very Tamina coded and they clearly wanted this to remind us of it, but I think it backfired. What made Tamina so great as a choreo, regardless of performers, was how interactive it was between the members and how perfectly it interpreted the cat-like theme. To me, Web overly relied on the gimmick that was the ribbons. It wasn't as much about showcasing them as performers as it was about showcasing how cool the ribbons are. At least that's how it came across to me, and therefore I didn't find the performers as impressive. Also, they barely even showcased the ribbons like a Web. I think they did this behind the shoulders move 3 times in under a minute. This performance needed Monica, but she was clearly unavailable. I just don't get why they didn't make the ribbons more interactive between the members. This was my favorite part because it did just that. And it's not that I'm not impressed by the skill showcased, I just wish I was seeing more of their skill as dancers and performers, not their skills with ribbons. So now our final performance of the night is Glow Up. This team consists of Soen, Ellie, Yoni, Jui, Juri, Cherin, and Huiso. Like I said, I was the least excited for this performance, but I still think this team deserves a win just because of how badly they've been screwed over by the live audience so far. The intro is complex and has a lot of moving parts, but they do take the time to show how good Yoni is as a performance leader. Jiu also reveals that Ellie has bruises in the shape of the other girl's fingers from one of the moves. I don't even have more to say about this performance, I just thought it was more fun to watch. The intro was fun and very theatrical, and I like how it let them show a bit more of the performance aspect. It reminded me of watching like actual street dance, which was the point. I gotta give props to Ellie and Huiso, they really hard carried the theatricality and tricks in this one. I also felt way more team chemistry here. Like, I wouldn't be upset if this was the final lineup because it felt so balanced and nice to watch. Their voices also go well together. I think I just prefer the choreos in the Queendom team because honestly, both of their performances are my winner. Overwater lived up to expectations, and Glow Up was much better on stage than I was expecting. But this wouldn't be Mnet without some bullshit. We won't find out who won each round until next week's live episode, which, keep in mind, is at least 3 weeks since this stage was filmed. Possibly more, I don't know when this episode was filmed. This also means we won't find out who between Queendom or Puzzle Team has won the mission until then. The performers also won't find out until next week. As mentioned, next episode is a live elimination episode, and in classic Mnet fashion, they're going to start preparing for the semi-final original songs before the elimination, then eliminate 5 girls in the middle of preparations. They get some mysterious envelopes, and if I had to guess, I would say it's the teams each contestant has been assigned to by a fan vote. Are they doing that for this show? Somebody let me know. We'll find out the 5 eliminated contestants, the current top 7, and see the 3 new teams next episode. All very produce of them.